Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the World of Wrestling podcast. I'm Slim, and we're going to start this shit straight off with Raw. And Raw this week starts with a graphic saying that Kamala has died, which he did over the weekend. I believe it was last Sunday he died. So, yeah. But then we kick the show off properly with Samoa Joe presiding over the contract signing for Seth Rollins versus Dominic at SummerSlam, which the match has now changed, so I guess they had to sign another contract. Um, and it's now a street fight. Joe says that Dominic also has a second contract to sign, which will make him an official WWE superstar. Rollins says he got Dominic for bringing a kendo stick with him. Joe says that what Rollins has become is sad. Rollins says Joe's wrong. Dominic says that Rollins is selfish, and Rollins says that Dominic is fulfilling his dream of becoming a WWE superstar because of him. Dominic says that that was his dream, now his dream is to kick Rollins' ass. Rollins says that in a normal match, Dominic wouldn't last 10 seconds with him, so to give him a chance, he will let Dominic have the kendo stick and whatever else he wants to use so that there's no excuse when he ends Dominic's career before it begins. They both then sign the contract, and Rollins tells Dominic to grab a seat because he's facing Humberto Carrillo next. We then get Rollins with Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo with Dominic. During the match, Dominic stopped Murphy from getting involved with the kendo stick. So by that I mean he stopped him getting involved using the kendo stick. It was a good match. Rollins won by pinfall with the stomp. Post-match, Murphy attacks Dominic and he gets a 2-on-1 beatdown, including with the kendo stick. He actually gets a 2-on-1 beating with kendo sticks. They then tie Dominic up in the ropes and they both beat him with kendo sticks while taunting Ray. Murphy then gets a few more kendo sticks for them both to belt Dominic with. And they beat him so much that he frees himself from the ropes and collapses as Rollins goes for the stomp. And then we see what just happened. And then we see what happened on Raw and SmackDown with Retribution. We then get Andrade with Garza and Vega versus Angelo Dawkins. Before the match, Vega gets on the mic and says that she didn't poison Montez Ford because she wants Andrade and Garza to win the Raw tag titles. How can they win the tag belts if one tag champion is out? She then says she had nothing to do with the poisoning of Ford, but Andrade and Garza will have everything to do with taking the Raw tag titles. During the match, Vega gets on the apron to distract the ref, and Bianca Belair comes out and takes her off the apron. Good match, Dawkins wins by pinfall with the cash out. We then get Bianca Belair with Angelo Dawkins versus Zelina Vega with Andrade and Angel Garza. Multiple times during the match, Vega says that she didn't do it. It was a good match. Belair won by pinfall after hitting the KOD. We then have a post-match interview with Dawkins and Belair. Belair says that she knows Vega did it, and if she messes with Ford, then she will get beat up by the AST again. Dawkins says that Tez will be at SummerSlam. We then see what happened last week when Cruz won the US title before we see the Hurt Business backstage. We then get the VIP lounge. MVP says that he knows Apollo is the reason the lights were flickering during their match last week. Apollo then comes out and says MVP is blaming everyone for losing. MVP says that Apollo makes bad decisions, like coming out with no backup. Apollo says that at SummerSlam, the only lights that will go out are MVP's. As Lashley and Benjamin go out to get Cruz, he slides in the ring, attacks MVP, and then throws one of the couches at the Hurt Business. We then have Apollo Crews vs Shelton Benjamin with Bobby Lashley and MVP. Pretty good match. Benjamin wins by pinfall with a roll-up. Post-match, Lashley goes to get Cruz in the full Nelson, but MVP tells Lashley not to because he needs him healthy so that he can take the title at SummerSlam. Apollo then hits an enziguri on MVP before leaving. Then we're told, and we also see Retribution throwing a cinder block through a window. Like, the commentary said Retribution's smashing windows or something, and then we see them throwing a cinder block through a window and running away like little kids. We then get backstage interview with a returning Mickie James, and she says she has an important announcement. But she does have gold on her mind. That I wrote is. She does. So it didn't make sense. But she does have gold on her mind. Natalya and Lana then interrupt and say Mickie isn't as good as Natalya. And Mickie says see you next week before leaving. Not giving us her big announcement. Which I guess is that she had gold on her mind? I don't know. We then see what happened last week on Raw Underground. Backstage we see Ivar talking to someone about slam dunking in basketball before Eric, Cedric and Ricochet show up saying that their match is next. The girl Ivar was talking to says it's her fault, not Ivar's. And she also does the Ivar's cute, Eric not so much thing. Yeah, whatever. Then we get yet another replay of what happened to Dominic earlier. Because apparently we've got short-term memory loss. And don't remember anything from half an hour ago. Then we get Cedric, Ricochet and the Viking Raiders versus Tozawa and 3 ninjas. One of the ninjas refuses to get in the ring. It's obviously R-Truth. Cedric, Ricochet and the Raiders win by pinfall after the Raiders hit the Viking Experience on a ninja. Post-match, Truth wins back the 24/7 title. Then we get a backstage interview with Drew McIntyre, who says that Orton isn't teaching the younger generation because of self-preservation. McIntyre then says that come SummerSlam, Orton will realise that Evolution will have passed him by when he rips the torch out of Orton's hands. McIntyre is also asked what happens if Owens takes the torch from him tonight. Drew says that if that happens, he and Owens will have a long talk about the future of Raw. Then we have Liv Morgan with Ruby Riott versus Peyton Royce with Billie Kay. During the Riott Squad's entrance, we see what happened last week between the Riott Squad, the Iconics, and Kevin Owens. During the Iconics entrance, they say that while the Riott Squad are being drama queens, the Iconics have been shaping their futures, and their futures are iconic. Royce wins by pinfall after hitting the Deja Vu, which happened after Liv got distracted by Ruby, who was on the apron. It was an okay match. Then we see what happened last week to set up the match between Bayley and Asuka later. Shane O'Mac shows up in front of the door that leads to Raw Underground. He talks to the security guard and says that Raw Underground's about to start. In Raw Underground, we see Cal Bloom versus Riddick Moss. Moss wins after a decent fight. And it's now time for Asuka versus Bayley with Sasha Banks. If Asuka wins, she faces Sasha at SummerSlam for the Raw Women's Championship. Really good match. Asuka won by submission with the Asuka Lock to earn the right to challenge Sasha for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam. Then we go back to Raw Underground and we get Arturo Ruas versus someone. And Ruas wins with a black mass of sorts. More Raw Underground and Babatunde beats someone. Baszler then squares off with Babatunde before Shane tells Babatunde not to fight her. Baszler then fights and beats 3 people at once. We then see Retribution flipping a car. It took a couple of them to flip that car. Braun can do it by himself. Maybe they should try on SmackDown to recruit Braun. Although at the moment he's in his I'm very pissed off stage, so maybe not. Main event time, and it's Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton with Ric Flair. Really good match. Orton won by pinfall with an RKO. Post-match, Orton gets on the mic and says he has a favour to ask Rick, and that favour is to stay put for now. because we're going to break. Back from break, and Orton says that he has every right to be upset with Rick, but he can't be angry because it's the Nature Boy. Orton says that he has every right to be pissed, though, because the match against Kevin Owens wasn't necessary. Randy then tells a story from 2002 and says that he doesn't respect or love Rick anymore because Rick is now a liability to what he's doing. Orton then brings up Flair's dead son. Flair takes the mic and says that he's taking it very personally and confirms most of what Orton has said. Flair says he wants Orton to break his record. Flair then says that he's Charlotte's dad now and just wants to be a part of Orton's life. Orton and Flair hug, and Orton then low blows Flair before whispering in his ear. Orton then punches Flair, but the lights go out as he gets to Flair because Retribution is screwing with some more shit. McIntyre then comes down, runs Orton off, and asks even him before calling Orton an evil son of a bitch. Drew and Orton stare down to close the show. I have seen a rumour, I guess you would call it, that the lights went out at the perfect time, right? Because obviously Flair can't take a punt. However, Christian couldn't take a punt either. And still did it. They just used some camera trickery to do it. But this time they had the lights go out. So apparently at SummerSlam it's going to be revealed that Orton never actually punted Rick. And they were just playing it so that they could get Drew. But now we'll move on to the AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament, Deadly Draw. It's night 2 of the tournament. And we start the show with Big Swole choosing the colour grey, and it's revealed that Lil Swole got grey too. We also see that Leva Bates and Rachel Chanel picked yellow. We then get Big and Lil Swole, and Lil Swole is Nicole Savoy from the Indies, and they're versing Rachel Chanel and Leva Bates with Peter Avalon. Good match. Big and Lil Swole win by pinfall after hitting a kneeling flatliner natural selection combo on Leva Bates. Swole got the 3. By that I believe I mean Big Swole. I just wrote Swole. I think it was Big Swole. But yeah, that combo, I called it the kneeling flatliner natural selection because I don't think there's any other name for natural selection than natural selection. But it's one of Charlotte's moves anyway. We then see Ivelisse choosing her colour. She got pink. And Diamante got pink too. Medusa then shows up and tells Dasha to draw, and Dasha gets blue, and it's shown that Rachel Ellering got blue too. Main event time, and it's Dasha and Rachel Ellering versus Diamante and Ivelisse. Good match. Ivelisse and Diamante won by pinfall after Ivelisse hit a code red on Dasha to pick up 3. Then we get a backstage interview with Big and Lil Swole, and they say that they've been teaming forever. Dasha then has a backstage interview and says that she hopes she gets more opportunities in ring later down the line. Then we have another backstage interview, this time with Ivelisse and Diamante, and they say that they are a threat. Now we'll move on to AEW Dark, and this week's Dark has 9 matches. First match of the night is Lee Johnson vs Ray Phoenix. Really good match. Phoenix won by pinfall with the spin out muscle buster bomb. Phoenix is great. He's just great. The only thing that I have a problem with in this match was Phoenix punching Lee Johnson, where let's just say that that's his head there. He was punching him. He was punching himself instead of, getting Lee Johnson. But then we get a promo for the match between Scorpion Sky and Cody. And, well, I shouldn't have said then we get that. But anyway, then we get Alex Chamberlain versus Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard. I did make sure that none of these starts were the same. So what I actually wrote was promo for the match between Scorpio Sky and Cody next. Then we get Alex Chamberlain versus Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard. Pretty good match. Spears won by pinfall with the C4. Post-match, Spears loads up the glove and palm strikes Chamberlain with the loaded glove. After that is Mbadu and Sean Dean versus the Gun Club. Good match. The Gun Club wins by pinfall after Austin hit the hip toss neck breaker on Dean for the 3. We then get Michael Stevens. Hang on. No, that's alright. We then get Michael Stevens versus Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford. Good match. Kip won by pinfall after hitting a top rope hung neck breaker. Then we have Private Party versus Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. Good match. Private Party won by pinfall after they hit a dual top rope splash and a top rope leg drop on Griff. Cassidy got the 3 count. Next is Jurassic Express vs Pineapple Pete, Corey Hollis and Aaron Solo. Really good match. Jurassic Express win by pinfall after Marco hit a 450 splash on Pineapple Pete, while Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy held Pete's arms and feet, like when you go to swing someone. They held him like that, and Marco hit the 450. Also, while Stunt got the 3, Jungle Boy stood on Solo's head to prevent him from getting in the ring. I just saw that in the background, thought it was funny, and figured I'd include it. We then have the Natural Nightmares with the Nightmare Sisters versus TH2. Good match. The Natural Nightmares won by pinfall after Dustin hit the Final Reckoning for the 3 on Jack Evans. Then it's Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian versus Rachel Ellering. Good match. Ford won by pinfall with the Fisherman Suplex with a bridge. Main event time, and it's SCU versus the Butcher and the Blade. Pretty good match. Butcher and Blade won by pinfall after they hit full death on Christopher Daniels. Blade got the 3 with a stack. Now we'll move on to AEW Dynamite, and the show starts with... before we start the show, it is Tag Team Appreciation Night. Now, we'll start the show with the Young Bucks versus Dark Order, which is Uno and Grayson, and they have 3, 4, and 5 with them. Before the match, 3, 4, and 5 attacked the Bucks. Really good match. Bucks win by pinfall after Nick reverses the fatality into a sunset roll-up on Uno for the 3. We then see MJF leaving his locker room. And also, throughout the night, we get a tag team saying who their favourite tag team of all time is. MJF's out next, and he says that he has some great polling numbers, and we see that 500%, he has 500%, and Mox has negative 1,000%. Right, I don't know what any of this means, because I don't care. And especially American politics. I don't care. I sort of follow it to the point of who's winning. You know, if it says that they've got 51%, they got 49%, then I go, well, they're winning. That's how much I follow it. I'm also from Australia, so, you know, I definitely don't care about Australian politics, but the American way of doing it is different, and I'm not going to learn about that. Anyway, MJF then says that Moxley doesn't care about the people, because if he did, then he'd be here. MJF says that Mox isn't here because he's afraid of change and MJF. He then lays down so that Moxley is more comfortable and will show up to do his job. MJF says that Moxley is a rabid dog, MJF then says that if Moxley wants to prove him wrong, then he can just give MJF the belt. Mox's music hits and MJF sends everyone into the seats to prevent Moxley from coming in, but instead he comes through the entranceway and attacks MJF, including hitting a paradigm shift. Mox then gets on a mic and says that they aren't even. That they aren't even, and won't be until he teaches MJF a lesson, and he'll make sure it's a very bitter pill to swallow. We then see what happened last week between Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. We then get a backstage interview with Matt Hardy, and he is asked how he feels, and Matt says that he's fine, but he's been seeing red, and that won't go away until he makes Sammy bleed. Matt then says that in 10 days he will be cleared and will end Sammy. Matt then sees referee Mike Posey and mistakes him for Sammy and attacks Posey. Then we get Cody with the Nightmare family, which is the Natural Nightmares, the Nightmare Sisters, and Arn Anderson, defending the TNT Championship against Scorpio Sky. Mike Chioda is the referee. Everyone except Arn and Brandy went to the back before the match actually starts. Really good match. Cody won by pinfall after hitting a second crossroads. Post-match, Brody Lee shows up on the Tron, and Brody Lee says that on the 22nd, he is taking the TNT Championship, but he will give him the unfinished title back. We then get Hangman and Omega defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against Jurassic Express, which is Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and they are accompanied by Marco Stunt. Really good match. Hangman and Omega win by pinfall after they hit the last call on Jungle Boy. Omega got the 3 count. We then see Santana and Ortiz, and they have best friends suitcases, or shit, as they say, and pour bleach all over it, and then they turn on the shower. I should also mention they tipped all their shit out first and then poured bleach on it. We then come back from break and we have FTR, the Young Bucks, the Rock and Roll Express, and Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. I know that they've got a tag name, but I've forgotten it again. I think Brainbusters? I don't know, I'll look it up, actually. I'll look it up while I'm on here. Brainbusters. Yeah, that's them. The Brainbusters. I don't know why I didn't write that in there. I think I was... Oh, that's right. I didn't know it at the time, and I was just writing it down, and I never went back to correct it. Anyway, Bucks say that Rock and Roll Express are the original Young Bucks. FTR says that because of the two legendary teams, everyone is able to live their dreams. And Dax says that he gets to give his daughter the life he never had, and it's all because of the 4 of them. Rock and Roll get on the mic and say that they haven't seen tag chemistry like FTR since the Brainbusters, and the Bucks, and they also say that the Bucks are the greatest tag team in this generation. Brainbusters get on the mic, and Arn says that the Bucks have made tag wrestling something completely different. He says that Rock and Roll is the team of the century, and FTR is the best team in the world. Tully takes the mic, and he takes it from Rock and Roll Express, and says that neither FTR or the Young Bucks are the best because they don't have the tag belts, which makes sense. Tully then says that he has had some beef with Arn ever since he jumped in on the Cody Shawn Spears match last year. While Tully is talking, Spears comes out. Arn says he can see what's happening and leaves. Then Rock and Roll Express hit Tully, and they all separate Tully and the Rock and Roll Express. And it appears Dax has hurt his knee again. The Bucks and Spears take Tully to the back, and FTR attack the Rock and Roll Express and hit the Mindbreaker. The Bucks then come back to check on Rock and Roll, and Omega and Hangman come out to ask what the hell. Backstage interview with Mike Chioda, and Jericho shows up, asks Chioda to officiate his match against Orange. Jericho also says that 18 years ago he saved Mike's job, and when Jericho gives Mike the signal, he calls it right down the middle, then he will once again get Mike his job back, but here at AEW instead. During the break, Sammy Guevara comes out with some cards and taunts Matt Hardy with them. Also, because I watched the Fight TV version, it had somebody telling Sammy that he had 15 seconds left when he actually had a minute 15, because he quickly got through all his cards when they said 15 seconds left. And then they went, "Oh, you got a minute left." And he went, "Well, I've got no more cards." So he just decided to pick cards up and start doing it again, which was funny. After that, we get Hikaru Shida vs Heather Monroe. Decent match. Shida won by a submission with a stretch muffler. Post-match, we get Shivani interviewing Shida on the stage. Shida says she's still waiting for a challenge at All Out, so bring it on. Backstage, we have Lance Archer and Jake Roberts, and Archer is beating people up while Jake says if you can win a match without... says that you can win a match without leaving the locker room. No, not us. The actual locker room. You can do it if you can make them fear. Fear you. Because if you can make them fear you, then you own them. Archer asks Jake if he has told them, and he says no. Then Archer rips off Jake's shirt, shows that written on Jake's back is "Everybody Dies." Main event time, and it's Chris Jericho with Floyd versus Orange Cassidy in a $7,000 obligation match. Post-match, yeah. Before the match, we look at Jericho and Orange's rivalry. We also get told that both Inner Circle and Best Friends are banned from ringside. During the match, Jericho tries to use Floyd, but Chioda stops it after initially going to let it go. Also, during the match, Santana, Ortiz, and the Best Friends all come out and start brawling with each other, which distracts Mike Chioda, so Hager gets in the ring, takes out Orange. Really good match. Orange won by pinfall with the mousetrap pin. Moving on to NXT, and NXT this week starts with a recap of what happened between Adam Cole and Pat McAfee last week, along with what happened between Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. We then kick the show off with Karrion Kross with Scarlett vs Danny Burch. As Burch gets in the ring, he demands for the bell. So the match gets started without a referee, because the ref was still on the outside of the ring. Kross wins by submission with the cross jacket. Burch passed out, not tapped out. Post-match, Keith Lee comes out with a contract. Lee then says that it's not on Keith Lee, it's on Karrion Kross, the little bitch that he is. Lee then says that he begged Regal to change the contract so that Lee can't touch Kross until TakeOver, and it's already signed by himself and Regal. All it needs is Kross's bitch ass name. Scarlett takes the contract, Kross signs it, and as Lee looks at it, a fireball bursts out and into Lee's face. Keith keeps refusing medical help and asking where Kross is so he can get him back. We then get Drake Maverick vs Killian Dane. When we see their entrances and the Keith Lee situation in dual screens beside each other. During the match, we see Lee going to a hospital in an ambulance and Undisputed Era arriving. Match ends in no contest when Era attacks both Dane and Maverick. Cole gets on the mic and says that he knows Pat is watching, and at TakeOver 30, Pat is stepping in the ring with the longest reigning NXT champion ever. Cole then challenges Pat to come to NXT next week so he can tell him that at TakeOver 30 he'll whoop Pat's ass. We then look at what happened last week between Legado del Fantasma and Breezango. We then get a promo package with Kushida saying that he's going to win the ladder match at TakeOver. Then we get Tyler Breeze vs Santos Escobar with the rest of Legado del Fantasma. Good match. Santos Escobar wins by pinfall with the Phantom Driver. Post-match, Legado del Fantasma beat up Breeze, causing Dango to come out with his arm in a sling. He doesn't do much, and Swerve comes out to help run Legado del Fantasma off. We then get a promo package with Dakota Kai saying she'll beat Io at TakeOver and win the women's title. We then get a promo package for Ridge Holland saying that his second chance match is against Gargano. We then have Indy Hartwell versus Mia Yim. Before Mia makes her entrance, she says, she's interviewed, and she says that Keith should be fine, but now she needs to focus on her match. Decent match. Yim won by submission with a leg scissors headlock. Arm submission. Like she had her in a headlock with her leg scissors around her head. And she was literally just holding her arm up. Like, it really didn't look like it hurts. At all. Because she sort of had it bent backwards. But she wasn't pushing far enough for it to hurt. So, I don't know how she won with that. But hopefully she never does it again. Promo package with Finn Balor, who says that whoever he has to fight next week, whether it's Kushida, Cameron Grimes, or someone who hasn't revealed themselves yet, he will beat them easily and then go on to win the North American title. Then we get Damian Priest versus Bronson Reed. Good match. Reed won by pinfall with a jackknife cover from out of nowhere to get the 3. Promo package for Io Shirai, and she says that she will beat Dakota Kai because Kai is no match for her, and Kai has pissed her off. We then get a promo package from Cameron Grimes saying he'll win the ladder match at TakeOver. Then we get Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro versus the Robert Stone brand. Before the match, Robert Stone gets on the mic and says that his brand is On Fuego. Then tries to recruit Casey, but she attacks Stone's legs instead of joining. Good match. The Robert Stone brand won by pinfall after Martinez hit the air raid crash on Casey for the 3. Post-match, Aaliyah tries to celebrate with Martinez, and she wants none of it. Then Ripley comes out, and her and Martinez brawl. Aaliyah tries to help Martinez out, and Shotzi comes out to even the odds. Then we get another Dinner with Gargano skit. Candice says that she isn't evil, and Tegan should mind her own business. The Garganos then say that their kingdom is fine. Gargano also says he'll beat Ridge Holland next week and win the North American title at TakeOver. We then get more Thatcher's training camp. Then we get an update on Keith Lee, and that update is that Lee says that at TakeOver, Cross is a dead man. Main event time, and it's a triple threat match to determine who will go into the ladder match at TakeOver and who will face Finn Balor next week to earn their way into the ladder match at TakeOver. This match is Cameron Grimes versus Kushida versus a surprise opponent, which is a returning Velveteen Dream, which was just awesome. I popped for that. Really good match. Grimes wins by pinfall after hitting the cave-in on Kushida, who had Dream in the hoverboard lock. Post-match, Dream attacks Kushida. Bella shows up while Dream is taunting, and they have a stare down, and Bella does the gun points at Dream to close the show. I cannot wait for next week. I did sort of say last week that I thought Kushida might be the one to take the fall, but I really couldn't pick. The way they did it was perfect. But the only problem we've got now is that on NXT this week we get Ridge Holland versus Johnny Gargano. And you would think that Gargano is going to win that simply because it's Johnny Gargano. And the only problem with that is that Ridge Holland's only just made his debut, and if you're going to book him strong, you wouldn't have him lose. And Bella vs. Dream, who's winning that? Like, you can't have Dream win and Bella lose, but you can't have Bella win and Dream lose. So maybe they'll go to like a draw or something. Maybe you have Gargano win earlier in the night or lose, either way. And later in the night, main event, you have him show up and cause the DQ or something. No contest it. And maybe that would work. I have no idea though. It's very hard for me to think about it. I just can't work it out. It's annoying me. But then you could also make it a 6-person ladder match with that. And yeah. But we'll move on to NXT UK, and this week's NXT UK features Adam Cole versus Zack Gibson for the NXT title, Xia Brookside versus Nina Samuels, and Pete Dunne versus Alexander Wolf. Moving on to this week's SmackDown, which starts with a recap of everything Retribution has done. Then we kick the show off with Big E versus John Morrison. During E's entrance, we get a promo from Big E, who says that he's a former NXT and Intercontinental Champion. We also get a promo from Morrison during his entrance, and says that New Day is injury prone, and every time Big E talks, he sounds hungry. Before the match starts, Retribution shows up and attacks. Miz comes out to check on Morrison after Retribution leave. Backstage, Miz blames Big E for Retribution's attack. Corbin then says that he can lead everyone to beating Retribution. E then says that he is going to show Retribution the power of positivity. Sheamus shows up and says E is weak and that's why Retribution attacked him. He also says that he isn't weak, so Retribution shouldn't dare attack him. Then we get Bayley and Sasha in the ring, and Bayley says that Retribution wants to hear what they have to say, so they won't do anything. Sasha says she has to defend her title against Asuka, and they just found out that they need to defend their tag titles at Payback, which is a week after SummerSlam. Literally 7 days after SummerSlam is Payback, which is just stupid because you can't build to anything. Like, you can't. It's a 2-week build at best now. So if they don't do anything on Raw for it, they've got Raw to do, for the Raw side. It's just stupid having them so close together. But Sasha also says that tonight is about Bayley, and Bayley says that they're going to be the greatest ring announcers ever. Then we get the Tri-Brand Battle Royal. Bayley and Sasha are the ring announcers. In this match are the Iconics, Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart, Lacey Evans, Asuka, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, the Riot Squad, Nikki Cross, Dana Brooke, Bianca Belair, and Tamina. Asuka comes out and she attacks Bayley and Sasha. First eliminated is Ruby Riott, then the Iconics, followed shortly by Liv Morgan, then the Riot Squad and the Iconics brawl to the back. Maybe on Raw you can have them fight and the winners face Bayley and Sasha for the titles at Backlash. And obviously Iconics are going to win that, and then they're going to win the tag belts at Backlash. Because they should, because the Iconics are great. Nikki Cross is eliminated next. Belair then eliminates Tamina. Lacey gets rid of Naomi. Then Lacey goes. Shotzi's out next, and she and Lacey go face to face. The final four are Belair, Nox, Asuka, and Baszler. Belair's gone next. Tegan then gets eliminated by Brooke, who was never eliminated. And then Dana's eliminated. So the final two are Asuka and Baszler. Bayley and Sasha try to eliminate Asuka, but fail. And Asuka uses Bayley and Sasha as stepping stones of sorts to stop herself from being eliminated. Like, she knocked them both down and then got knocked off and she landed on top of them. So she just sort of stood on them and then got back in the ring. Asuka got rid of Baszler to win the match. So, yes, Asuka has 2 title matches for 2 different titles at SummerSlam. Then we look at what happened between Mandy and Sonya a couple of weeks ago. Backstage, Bayley and Sasha are concerned for their titles, and Bayley says that on Raw her title was on the line, so she'll have something to fight for at SummerSlam, which pisses Sasha off because her title was sort of on the line. Asuka then attacks them both. Mandy is then backstage and says that everyone has told her that she's just a pretty face and has had everything handed to her, and it hurts her still to this day when someone says that. And Sonya has now reminded her that she's more than just a pretty face and challenges Sonya to a hair versus hair match. Sheamus then walks up to some security who are in front of the entranceway in the back and tells them to go to the pub and have the rest of the night off, because Retribution won't show up during Sheamus's match. Which is fine for Sheamus's match, but what about the other matches? Anyway, backstage, Nikki is standing around and she sees Alexa and apologises for pushing her the other week, and she asks if she's okay. Alexa says she's fine. Nikki says that they need to get Alexa to a safe place because both The Fiend and Braun Strowman are in the building. Alexa says she's going to stay because she wants some answers. We then have Sheamus vs Shorty G. During Sheamus' entrance, we see what happened last week between Sheamus and Shorty G. Good match. Sheamus won by pinfall with a brogue kick. Backstage, we see Styles telling Abyss something, and Abyss looks like Styles is having a go at him. Abyss is from TNA. He's now a backstage producer, I think. Styles is out next with Abyss. Styles says that nobody cares about Retribution and there is more pressing matters to deal with, like who will face Styles for the Intercontinental title. AJ says that he wants to enjoy being the IC champ, but he can't because Bryan said that the IC champ needs to be a fighting champ. Styles then says that everyone is telling him statistically who he should face, so he put together a team, and the acronym for his team is PISS. PISS. So he put together his team to put together a list to who he should defend his title against. It's revealed that he's number 1 on the list, because obviously the champion is number 1. But nobody else is on it. Jeff Hardy then comes out and says that he didn't get his opportunity in the tournament because of Sheamus. He also says he wants a shot at the title and their match will be mega cool. Styles says that he respects Jeff and that he deserves to be on the board. And Styles says he'll... Styles says no to facing Jeff with the title on the line. AJ also says that this isn't a pity party for Jeff, for what Jeff has gone through, and Jeff attacks Styles and hits Twist of Fate before writing his name on the board. Backstage, we see Cesaro shutting up his title, and he puts it down to say that Lucha House Party could never beat them for the titles, and Nakamura will beat Metalik. While they're talking, Lucha House Party sneaks up to the belts, and as they grab them, Cesaro and Nakamura catch them, and Lucha House Party run away with the belts. Backstage interview with Styles next, and he says that Jeff Hardy is going to get it, and everyone will learn that when you mess with AJ Styles, you will get erased. And what he tried to do was erase Jeff's name from the board when he said erased. But it's revealed that Jeff wrote his name in permo, or a permanent marker, if you don't know what permo means. But you should, because obviously. We then get Gran Metalik with Lince Dorado versus Shinsuke Nakamura with Cesaro. Lucha House Party come out with the SmackDown tag titles. When Cesaro and Nakamura come out, they take the titles back. Also, during Cesaro and Nakamura's entrance, we get a promo, and they say that Lucha House people are little Spanish flies, not the move, but they're annoying pests that they will squash. Yeah. As Nakamura sets up for the Kinshasa during the match, Lucha House Party's entrance music plays again, and Kalisto returns, and he says that... Oh, and he doesn't say shit. He and Lince take out Cesaro, allowing Metalik to hit the rope walk elbow drop and get the pinfall. It was a good match. Hopefully that means that we've got another match for Payback, being that it's Lucha House Party versus Nakamura and Cesaro. And I don't know who would win that, just because they're sort of pushing Lucha House Party. But Cesaro and Nakamura have only just got the belts, so maybe they should win. I don't know. Anyway, we get a backstage interview with Matt Riddle, and he says that he doesn't like the fact that he has a bounty on his head, and he has tried to goad Corbin into a match, but Corbin's too scared to accept. Shorty G then shows up and apologises, and Corbin attacks Riddle with the scepter from behind, making it seem like Shorty G was just distracting Riddle. We then have a sit-down interview with Alexa Bliss, who says that she's been better, and she's upset that Braun didn't help her when The Fiend got her. Alexa also says that The Fiend is compelling. Bliss then just looks upset when they ask her how she felt when Braun said he doesn't care about her. Backstage, Sonya says that she's surprised with Mandy's challenge, and then she says that she thinks Mandy will look great bold, and Sonya asks if Mandy has ever thought what people say about her is actually true. Sonya then accepts the challenge. Main event time, and it's Big E versus John Morrison. Miz is on commentary. Big E has an injured knee from the attack by Retribution at the start of the show. During the match, Otis comes out and the lights start flashing again. The match then turns into a lumberjack match of sorts, because everyone is out ringside to prevent Retribution. Retribution then actually does show up, but backstage they just start wrecking shit and attacking referees and whatnot. Everyone surrounding the ring then goes to the back. Pretty good match. Big E won by submission with a stretch muffler. Post-match, Sheamus Brogue kicks Big E. Braun then comes out. Braun says that the Fiend... Braun says that the Fiend knows what he will get at SummerSlam, and then tells the Fiend to come out and face his fears. Then says at SummerSlam he's going to eviscerate him. Bliss comes out, and Bliss tries to talk to him, but Braun says that she used him, and then he tells her to leave, but she tells him to be careful what he wishes for. She then says that she has to slap some sense into him, and she slaps him a whole bunch of times. As he gets her in a gorilla press, the Fiend starts to come out, like the Tron starts going off and whatnot. As he throws Alexa, the lights go out, and the Fiend shows up, and Braun disappears. Braun shows up on the Tron, and he and the Fiend laugh together, and they stop laughing to close the show. Alexa, I think, was fine. She was sort of... Was she sitting up in the ring by the end of it? I think she was. Either that or she was laying there. I don't know. Hopefully next week we get some more answers. Well, I guess we will, because it's the last one before the pay-per-view. I do actually think that Alexa will join with the Fiend. Yeah. Moving on though to 205 Live. And this week's 205 Live starts with Legado del Fantasma, that being Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, with Santos Escobar, entering Ever Rise's Open Challenge. Good match. Legado del Fantasma won after they hit the Russian leg sweep flying kick combo on Martel. Mendoza got the 3. Then we see Aria Davari's return last week. Main event time, and it's Jake Atlas versus Aria Davari. Good match. Davari wins by pinfall with the Hammerlock Lariat. And that is it for This Week in Wrestling. However, I will give an update on what the go is with predictions. As of right now, I am unclear on who will be doing predictions. There's at least going to be 3 of us. And I do have a schedule. So on Thursday the 20th, my time, there will be NXT TakeOver and SummerSlam predictions. Next Thursday, the 27th, there will be Payback and New Japan predictions. And the week after that, which I believe is the 3rd, again it's a Thursday, will be AEW All Out predictions. So yeah, there's going to be at least 3 of us for all of them, I believe. I am pretty sure that we are going to have a 4th joining us for not this week's, but next week's predictions and the week after's. I was talking to him the other day, and he said that he won't be able to do this week's, but he might be able to do next week's and the week after's. And I've asked another couple of people, they just haven't gotten back to me yet. But yeah, so we'll have to wait and see on Thursday. But yeah, also if you want to put your predictions in, you can do it in the comments to this video or the predictions video when it comes out, because obviously it'll be out before the show. So I would love that. Yeah, I'd love to hear what your predictions are. Yeah. But other than that, join... No, that's not what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to say join something. No, follow our Twitter and Facebook. The links to those will be in the description. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a like on the video. And you can hit the bell if you want. I don't really care if you hit the bell or not. Obviously, it'll just send you notifications when we upload, which is all the time. But other than that, thanks for watching. Goodbye and good night.